Maintenance of wireless equipment. No experience necessary. Includes health benefits. Mileage reimbursed. Starting pay is $15 an hour. Find out more and apply by going to mrsystemswireless.com, then clicking About, then Employment. Equal Opportunity Employer.
If you're looking for local hunting and fishing information, then join us for Central Illinois Outdoors with me, Jared White, Sundays at 8 a.m. here on WHOW. Every weekend, we'll offer detailed local fishing reports from professional guides. We'll swap stories with local celebrity sportsmen, and I'll invite you to share your stories as well. Central Illinois Outdoors with Jared White, every Sunday morning at 8 on all WHOW platforms and on demand at CentralIllinoisOutdoors.com. Brought to you by Bob Ridings in Pana and the Clinton, Illinois Chamber of Commerce and Tourism Bureau.
Hi, I'm Sean Sullivan with Sullivan Seeds from Wallace, Nebraska. I trust Pancho Votivo because I have seen day in and day out, year after year, it work on our farm. And I hold high standards for any product I'm going to recommend. I want something with a great reputation that's going to stand behind their product. I want a product that's going to perform year in and year out. And that's what Pancho Votivo does.
Pancho Votivo Seed Treatment. Trusted by the trusted. BASF. We create chemistry. Always read all label directions.
For the late night place to be, hi, Jim Bohannon here, host of the Jim Bohannon Show, heard weeknights from 9 till midnight on all of the WHOW platforms. Join me with stimulating guests and your calls on the topics of the day. We bring you guests to keep you in the know every weeknight from 9 till midnight. It's the Jim Bohannon Show on 92.3 FM in DeWitt County, 106.5 FM in Logan County, plus streamed at DeWittDailyNews.com on the WHOW mobile app and Amazon Alexa.
You're listening to The Morning Show on the Big 1520 across Central Illinois. WHOW.
Top of the morning. Seth Lawrence with you folks today. My guest in studio on The Morning Show is Ken Frye, director of the Scovill Zoo in Decatur. Good morning, Ken.
Good morning, yeah.
How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking.
All right. Ken, what do you have for us today? Who's this?
I brought a lizard with me today, and a lot of times people will look at this and say, that's a snake.
You said lizard, and you pulled that out, and I was like, Ken, this is a snake, my man.
Yeah, but there is actually differences. So this is a lizard. It's a legless lizard, so it doesn't have any of the appendages that you normally associate with a lizard. But the differences are, if you look up at the head area, he has eyelids. So this guy will blink. Snakes just have that scale across their eye, so he will blink. He has ear holes. Snakes don't have the ear holes. You see his little slit just right kind of in that area there. Right? Yeah, real small slit. It's about the eighth of an inch kind of a slit. And then he chews his food, where snakes just will grab their food and just swallow it. And then the tail area, his tail starts right there. So over half of his body
is his tail.
Where the snakes, their tail would start near the end of their body, kind of more of the last quarter, last fifth of their body. And so those are some of the major differences. The legless lizard here, this is a European legless lizard, or glass lizard, they call them. So like other lizards, they'll have fracture points in the tail. So if a predator grabbed the tail, it would pop off at certain points along the tail, and this part would still be wiggling as the rest of it would.
He would go away.
He would survive away.
Now, does it grow back?
It would regenerate. It wouldn't be as lovely as the original tail, but it would regenerate and grow back.
Now, has this guy had his tail bit off and regenerated?
No, it's still the same original tail that he has.
So his left side here, he's got like a long incision.
Yeah, that long line down both sides of his body has that. I'll show that side too.
Okay.
So both sides, and that's just for expansion. So if he eats a big meal, it kind of helps his body to expand. If you just wanted to study and watch him, every time he breathes, that will kind of expand in that area as well. So it just kind of helps him with his breathing, with his digesting, and all that fun stuff.
Why do you call him Scar?
He had a little scar when we got him, and I think it was part of his molting process. But it's kind of healed up. So
I see.
Yeah. So he's a healed scar.
He's lizard, uniquely cold. That's what when we touched him out front, that's what I noticed.
Yeah. And he's warming up now. I think it was just the car ride here. I had
Ken, don't put him in the back with the cold. Give him give him
that. He was up front with me.
Oh, okay.
I was actually getting hot.
Turn the seat warmers on. Jeez,
yeah.
Those aren't just for people, Ken.
Yeah. So I think it kind of happened right when it's kind of starting out a little cool in the van, but I actually let it run for several minutes to try to heat up before I put him in there.
I see.
And then we started out our journey up to Clinton.
He seems like he's got a good temperament.
Yeah, he's really easy going. Yeah, there's some days that you go open his container and he'll kind of lunge at you and like he's ready to get out and do something, and so you can pick him up. I've never been afraid of him biting me. There's other legless lizards that you're just kind of real skeptical. You're always kind of watching them when they move and where they're putting their head, if they're getting close to your hand or not. But this guy, he's been pretty laid back. So,
I see. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And you said they hail from where?
Well, this is a European glass lizard through Europe, but Illinois does have legless lizards down in the southern part of the state.
Yeah, they're called snakes, Ken.
No.
Just kidding with you.
They're lizards and they have no legs. And so now,
how do you differentiate a legless lizard and a snake? Because you talked about like you can kind of tell where the tail starts and ends, or like where his body begins and his tail starts, but like if you're just like looking from the naked eye at in nature, you can't tell. So how do you know?
Yeah, so if you came up with something and you saw something moving through the grass and the leaves, and you just get a quick glimpse of it, you may not be able to tell. But if it was like basking on a rock or something, and you could see the tail length being over half of the body, you could see that little line, that ridge that you talked about down the side of his body, like, oh, that's different from a snake. So there's some clues. And of course, if you studied his eye and he blinked, oh, snakes don't blink, that was got to be a lizard, So
okay, gotcha.
But it would take staring at them for a while. Yeah.
What and if I encountered this in the forest in southern Illinois, I'm not staring at him to figure out if it's a snake or a lizard.
No,
I see.
And they'll move away too. So
yeah, exactly. I see your point.
But you'd have to actually study him a little bit.
What do you feed him?
Crickets and bugs, and that's kind of what they're looking for. And they're crawling through the decaying vegetation around forest floors and in southern Illinois and in Europe and wherever they're found. And they're kind of looking for those bugs and worms and anything down on that ground level that they can get their mouth on. They'll try to eat. So not
like mice, or
maybe if it's like just real small mice, they might try to do that. But again, they can't, like a snake can like unhinge not unhinge, but their jaws are just very flexible big, and they can really get around some big foods. But this not really. They have to kind of chew their food before they swallow.
Does he need to eat every day?
No, not every day.
I was gonna say kind of dumb question, but
more reptiles they can go several days if they have several. They fall into a nest of mealworms, and they eat those up, and then they may not have to eat for several days after that.
I got you. With him, what do you do for enrichment?
That's a great question. Reptiles they're the hard ones to try to change, and with enrichment, you're looking to do something to change up their visual cues, or what they're feeling, what they're smelling, what they're tasting, and so you're that's kind of what you call enrichment, just to change up their environment somehow. And you want to do it to where it's natural, something they would find in the wild. So you might try different substrates, putting in leaves and putting in decaying vegetation, around them, just so they can feel, something different and smell something different. And the reptiles are a challenge. Birds are kind of a challenge too, but they kind of are curious. Some of them are more curious than others. And so you can put in things for them to look at, some sparkly things, and things to manipulate and grab and twist and pound and make sounds, and mammals the same way. But reptiles is a bit of more of a challenge to find things enriching. But I think as long as they're being warm, you might put in a different warm spot for them, or you might simulate rain one day. You just put ice cubes on top of their, let it feel like it's raining, in on them, and in one section. And if they don't like it, they can go to another section.
I see.
So you just kind of get creative with how you change up their environment. And
it's cold rain to put some ice cubes up there, though.
It would be a cold rain, yeah. But sometimes it's cold in nature too.
That's true. That's true. All right, fair point, Ken. Fair point.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's really neat. Anything on Scar I didn't talk about that you want to mention?
No, I think we covered him pretty well. I think you touched him earlier, and he's very rigid. If you had a snake in here, snakes are actually really soft and kind of more pliable, but he's a little more rigid. He doesn't really bend around and coil around like a snake could do. So that'd be the only other thing I'd mention about him, is being a little more texturally rigid than a snake would be.
Gotcha. Yeah. Awesome. Well, we can leave Scar out if you want to. He's not not causing much of a fuss, and he just seems pretty content. So really neat. Awesome. Again, Ken Frye is the director of the Scovill Zoo in Decatur, our guest in studio. He's got Scar here with us. Ken, if you want to hold that up one more time for the folks at home watching on the YouTube, Facebook feed, so
here,
they can
3D look at him.
There you go. So, oh boy, really up close and personal. How about that? All right. Very good, Ken.
Okay.
Let's dive into what's going on at the zoo these days. Season is wrapped up, I do believe.
Yeah, we wrapped up October 11th as our last official open day, and we had mid 60,000 people come to the zoo, which is okay. It's not great, but I think people are kind of getting used to coming back out and visiting places. And the park district also opened up a water park this year, and so we're kind of competing for the same people. So the same company is competing for the same people to come to their institution.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah,
and the water park looked like it did pretty good.
Yeah, it did well. They had about 60,000 plus people as well come to their facility as well. So it was a good season for them. Their first real open season. So I'm really happy for them as well. And yeah, and I'm satisfied with our season. We had a really good Boo at the Zoo season as well. So we did open up for weekends and evenings, some of the weekends and evenings on the rest of October, and did okay with that. We had a little over 12,000 people that bought tickets or came to the zoo itself. Yeah, and that's awesome. Yeah, I was very happy with that number. So, yeah, so and that was a fun event. And we're still taking down decorations. It's been all week of taking down, so it takes months to put up and a couple weeks to take down. So it's a pretty extensive event that we put on at the zoo.
Awesome. Well, good season overall, and looking for another solid season ahead. Of course, that means the zoo is in the off season. So what's on your radar as it relates to this winter?
Yeah, we're not hibernating, so and all the animals actually stay at the zoo, so we don't ship anything to Florida. People ask if we.
You know what? I never thought about that.
Yeah, they think we ship our animals out. Like, no, they all stay there. So we have.
That would be pretty stressful for the animals.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah. So for some of the animals, they have buildings attached to their exhibits, and like the monkeys, and if there is a nice winter day or a nice November day, nice February, March day, we can open up and let them out onto the exhibit, but it's all temperature variant. Actually, we watch temperatures all the time. There's some that can't take the heat in the summertime. There's some that can't take the cool in the winter, like most of the reptiles here, like Scar and the.
I was going to say he doesn't like this weather then.
Not at all. No, he's not a winter weather fan. So he would be hibernating this time of year. In southern Illinois, they're probably starting to dig into areas, and maybe warmer days, when it starts to get up into the 60s and 70s again, they can get on a rock and kind of heat up and maybe look for some insects. But otherwise, they're digging into burrows and trying to find a place to just kind of keep warm.
How does he dig, by the way?
They would find a lot of existing holes, so holes that other animals have dug. They're called keystone species that kind of help out other animals. Like there's like an armadillo that can dig holes, and they found like up to 200 different other species of animals that have used the holes that those have dug, including reptiles and insects and and all these things that they'll take advantage of. So he'd probably take advantage of a little either holes in the rocks or crags, that he could get back into under thick vegetation that he could get under, like mulch, to just get lower and keep warm that way. And then so they just they find a way.
I see. Gotcha. I didn't mean to take away from discussion about what happens at the zoo in the wintertime. Do you put all the animals away? Do some stay out for the winter?
Yeah, some stay out. So the eagles and the ones that are kind of used to this kind of climate, they'll stay out. The wolves, the Bactrian camel.
I was going to say, how's the new camel doing?
Yeah, he's doing well. Yeah, and that's one of those road trips that we had earlier in October out to Idaho and back, and that was a long drive. We left Idaho Falls Zoo with a young 7-month-old camel and or 10-month-old camel at the time, and drove straight through. And so we left at 8:30 in the morning their time, and about 24 hours later we got to Scovill Zoo. So we had 3 people driving, and every time we'd stop to get gas, we would switch a driver and keep on going. So that was I had the stretch through Missouri at in the morning. It was like 3 in the morning to to 6 in the morning, something. And I've never seen Missouri be so long. So but we finally got to Hannibal, and then another driver took over, and she took it in to the rest of the way. And
I see.
And so you'd catch 10 minutes of nap or a half-hour nap, here and there. But so that was a long time. Wow. But we have a new young camel.
That's cool.
At the zoo, and he's adjusting to life in Central Illinois.
Cool.
So so that was fun. And I forgot the original question. I kind of got on a tangent myself.
Well, I'll tell you what. The original question was, what do you do with the animals in the winter? Yep. But I look at the clock. We need a break.
Okay.
So let's do that first, and we'll come back with Ken Frye from the Scovill Zoo Indicator, our guest in studio. More to come on the WHOW Morning Show.
CEO Paul Scowen here from Warner Hospital and Health Services in Clinton. Preventative health care protects you from infections, whether COVID, the flu, or other respiratory ailments. Schedule your appointment now by clicking our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
ServPro of Piatt DeWitt Counties can make your emergency or disaster like it never even happened. Find out all the services ServPro of Piatt DeWitt Counties provides by clicking their icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with Auto Owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call me, Jay Peterson, your Auto Owners Insurance agent in Clinton, for a virtual or in-person appointment at 935-6605.
Thank you for listening to this Miller Media Group radio station. We appreciate you making the choice to tune in to us. We want to remind you of some things to keep the attorneys happy. Our stations allow one winner per household in a 30-day period. Cash prizes are mailed to our winners within 30 days of winning. And as you've probably already guessed, portions of today's programming on this Miller Media Group radio station were pre-recorded and are mechanically or digitally reproduced. There. Now we've made the attorneys happy. Thanks again for listening to this Miller Media Group station.
Let's swing open the farm gate together every day on WHOW. I'm Stu Ellis, your host of the long-running agriculture feature called The Farm Gate. I bring the latest news and information on where agriculture is and where it's going to WHOW Ag listeners several times a day. From tariffs to treaties, from the Board of Trade to the running board on your truck, I cover Central Illinois agriculture every day on The Farm Gate. Hear it all on WHOW's many platforms, on the radio or online. Join me, Stu Ellis, for The Farm Gate.
This is The Morning Show on 92.3 FM in DeWitt County, WHOW.
Once again, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. My guest in studio is Ken Frye, director of the Scovill Zoo in Decatur. All right, Ken, before we got off, keep getting sidetracked. We need to keep coming back to these original questions. What do you do with the animals in the wintertime? You mentioned you don't send them off. They stay on site. So what do you do with them?
Yeah, everything stays there. And the reptiles, the African birds, the South American birds, they all go to a building in the back of the zoo called our Animal Care Center. And there's, kind of exhibit size pens back there as well for them to hang out in. And the alligators go back there. The tortoises go back there. And then if they're not back there, they probably have a building attached to their exhibit, like the wallabies or the monkeys, the cheetahs. They have their own building, and cheetahs, we give them access all the time, so we keep their building heated. But they even if it's 10 degrees outside, 0 degrees outside, you'll see them walking around, kind of looking around and basking in the sun. It's cold, but they still kind of go warm up in the sun. And
it's
then they
amazing
go back
they
in.
enjoy that. I always picture them as deserts or like African animals.
African heat,
liking that. I can't believe that they like this stuff. So
I hope they do. And these
either
guys,
that or they just tolerate it.
Yeah, they
really
tolerate it. Yeah, and they were born in Texas actually, so they probably are used to a little more. It gets cold in Texas as well. They have spurs, but just not as long as here in Illinois.
The Texas cold is nothing compared to the Illinois cold. So.
Exactly.
But nice. So what's like the new camel you mentioned? You got the new camel out there. What will he do for the winter, you think? Like what?
We have a building that he can get into to get out of the wind, get out of the rain. And as well as our other camel Jack that's been there for a while, so he can, they have places they go to, and the barnyard animals, they have buildings that get out. The goats, they don't like rain or precipitation, and so they'll get under the awnings or into the buildings, and the thick bedding of straw they can dig into. And
I see.
And same with our guinea hogs, they kind of same thing.
Okay.
So it all stays there. The zebras, they go into the barn, and on good days we'll get them out back onto the exhibit so they can just kind of stretch their legs, and then if it's too cold for them, then they just stay inside.
Let's talk AZA. That process is coming up. Isn't that like an every 3-year thing?
Every 5 years. Actually, this we had one extension here, so this is going to be our 6th year since our last one because of the pandemic. They pushed everything back 1 year, and so this is our year to get inspected by the AZA, and so this winter we'll be finishing up the paperwork, and which you just start on paperwork after your last accreditation process and just kind of keep up with it. So it's just kind of making sure everything's updated and ready to be sent out. And there's hundreds of documents that you have to send them on, every different topic, and from animal care to vet care to, staffing and financing. And they just want to see you down to your bare bones. So, and that's what you show them. And then they'll come next late April, May sometime and inspect us. And then at the end of August, we have our hearing. And so it's it's pretty nerve wracking. It's just 20 people staring at you over the top of their computers in a room. And, with, you might get one or two people to smile at you when you walk in, but the rest of them are just kind of looking at you. And it's pretty intimidating. And of course, you're probably the 50th one that they've done, so they're probably just blurry-eyed and really tired of doing all this stuff. But it's part of the process.
Right. Yeah. Gotcha. So where is that this year, by the way, or is that virtual?
Baltimore will be out.
Okay.
Baltimore,
Gotcha. And will you get to go there this year then?
Yeah, I think we're going to go out there and have the hearing, and then you'll stay for the conference. And
cool.
And, as long as everything stays in the upswing that it is now.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. What happens after that conference or whatever? Like, don't they come back for like inspections and stuff like that?
No, we have our inspection after we send in the paperwork in February. We'll get our inspection in May or so, and then the hearing in September. And then you find out at that point if you've been accepted for another 5 years, or if they want to table you for a bit and have you work on a few things, and then you have another meeting the following year, or they'd say, no, you're not meeting the standards that we want you to meet, and good luck to you. But here are some things to work on, and then if you want to reapply, you can. So they can turn you down at that time too.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it a pretty strenuous process, like between now and that time?
It is very strenuous. Yeah, and they come and inspect us for 3 days, and they'll go to San Diego and inspect them for 3 days. So it's there's a lot longer looking at your facility than they are looking at the San Diego facility. But San Diego has standards that they have to meet. We are meeting those same standards. The St. Louis Zoo is meeting those same standards. Brookfield Zoo is meeting those same standards. And so we're all, our little Scovill Zoo here in Miller Park Zoo and Peoria Zoo, we're having to meet those standards that these big old zoos are meeting as well.
Why is it important to be a part of the AZA accreditation?
Yeah, I think it shows, one, for just animal transactions. If you're meeting those standards and saying we are an A+, first class institution, then people aren't. Other zoos are more willing to share animals and switch animals back and forth, get animals from your institution because they know you're taking care and you're concerned about the welfare of your animals and taking care of the animals that the way they should be. And then it's for the public, it shows them that you are meeting that gold standard of zoos. And there's other institutions out there, organizations that you can be part of that shows you're meeting standards as well. But the AZAs, they
kind of the gold standard.
The gold standard is what they call themselves, and so and that's where we're at right now. So that's what we want to try to achieve.
I see. Yeah. Gotcha. Well, Ken, guess what?
No way.
It's that time. Yeah, it is. I got about a minute. Anything on that process, by the way?
We have Zoo Buddies
yes,
coming
please.
up. And it's on the second Tuesday of the month, Lovely Doves. That's November 9th. We have our PJ Party with Santa in December, on December 11th, if you're interested in that. We have a Parents Afternoon Out later in December on the 21st for 6 to 10-year-olds. So, there's still things happening at the zoo, even though we're closing.
And where do folks go to learn about all those events?
ScovillZoo.com or Facebook. Look for Scovill Zoo.
Awesome. Ken, always good to see you. By the way, happy Thanksgiving.
Hey, to you too.
I can't believe that's coming up here around the corner. But anyways, Ken Frye, director of the Scovill Zoo, our guest in studio. Always good to have him. He had the legless lizard scar with us today as well. Network news on the way on the WHOW Morning Show.